How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Salamander Wilds. And with the amphibian migration about to kick off, I thought it would be great to discuss this article and the misidentification taking place here. Because, after all, that thumbnail of the spotted salamander is accurate, right? Unfortunately, not so much. And in fact, that's not a spotted salamander at all. Which species is this, you might ask? Well, without rambling, let's get into this discussion. Let's identify the species being shown and the species being discussed, and set the record straight. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, share, comment down below, please subscribe. Here we go. So at first glance you might be thinking, what's really the big deal here? And what misidentification is actually taking place? Well, first and foremost, as I just said a moment ago, this is not a spotted salamander at all, and that's actually the problem. This is a European fire salamander. And still, you might be thinking, what's really the big deal? Okay, so it's not a spotted salamander, but it is still a salamander. But the big deal here is the thumbnail being used to invite viewers and readers to this article simply does not accurately depict what is being discussed. And this can cause a problem with the viewer or the reader, leading them to believe that they're about to engage with content that is discussing the very thing being depicted. And when we discuss the life history and behavior of a species, it's pretty important to accurately depict the species you're talking about. And this is especially true for salamanders. So let's get that depiction corrected right now. This is the spotted salamander, and it is this species that is being discussed in this article. So let's take a look at the article and break this down further. It's titled Weird New Jersey, Salamander Migration Forces Closure of New Jersey Roads. And just from the title, we can already conclude that the fire salamander is not being discussed here. How do we know this? Well, the simple answer is geography. The fire salamander is just simply not native to the United States, or New Jersey for that matter, but the spotted salamander is. And the article goes on to discuss a very specific location where spotted salamanders are well known to migrate to their breeding sites. In fact, this location is so well known that obviously there's an article written about it, but even news outlets go on site at this location. In fact, this is the very location where I did my documentary, Search for the Spotted Salamander. And it's great that this really short article does discuss the breeding time frame and behavior accurately. However, it is critical to invite readers with an accurate depiction of the species you're discussing. Not all salamanders are the same, and one may argue that it could be an honest mistake, and that's possible. But no matter how similar a species may look to one another, it's really important to differentiate those specific details, especially to those that you're trying to introduce into the salamander world for the very first time. People from all over the state and even outside of the state come to this location due to how well known it is, and many of them don't quite know what they're getting into. So if this is your introduction to salamanders and going out to a migration night for the very first time, this article may steer you in the wrong direction, looking for something you're just simply not going to find. And with that said, let's just look at both of these species side by side for a moment. And now, looking at these two species side by side, it's probably easy to see how they can be confused with one another. And looking at the coloration, it's pretty much the same. However, upon closer inspection, we can see that the spotted salamander has spots, just like its name implies, whereas the fire salamander has blotches. The skin of the spotted salamander is also much more smooth in comparison to the more rough-looking texture of the fire salamander. And so, while I can see how it's probably easy to confuse the two, a bit more effort and research would go a long way. In whatever format of content you are creating, And so, as to not ramble on, I'll wrap up the video here. Hopefully my criticism here wasn't too harsh, that's certainly not the intention, but I do believe strongly in distributing accurate information, especially when it comes to salamanders. As I've said in the past, a lot of people just simply don't know enough about them, and inviting them under the wrong pretense or information really isn't helping. And if our intent is to do right by the hobby or for conservation purposes, it's critical to get these details correct. And so, within the context of this video, I do suggest checking out the article, because the actual information being discussed is accurate, and to that end, especially if it's your first time getting into salamanders and checking out a migration site for yourself, it's certainly not a bad place to start. And to be fair, the point of the article is to really just notify that the road is going to be closed that night. So, obviously it's not an in-depth article, but you would think you would still depict the very salamander that the road is being closed down for. And with that, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, share, comment down below, please subscribe. Let me know if this is your first time getting into salamanders or going to a migration for the first time. And until the migration does officially kick off, stay curious everyone, and journey into the salamander wilds.